Under my leadership, we will have a safe and effective vaccine before the end of the year. We will swiftly defeat the China virus, end the pandemic, bring back our critical supply chains, and lift our economy to unprecedented new heights. If the left gains power, they will shut down the economy, close our schools, delay the vaccine, prolong the pandemic, and impose the most extreme policies in the history of our country. Let's review the record. When I joined you in person last year, our nation was enjoying the greatest economy in history. There was nothing like it. This was a stark contrast to the prior administration, which delivered the weakest recovery since the Great Depression. It was weak and it was sad. In my first 3 years, real income for the typical family increased $6,000, more than 5 times the gains during the entire previous administration. Think of that, 5 times the gains. Income for Black Americans grew 9 times more under my leadership than during the 8 years before I took office. Their policies punish American workers. My policies promote American workers. At the end of the last administration, the Congressional Budget Office projected fewer than 2 million jobs would be created in 3 years. Well, we did a little bit better than that. We created 7 million, and actually it'll be close to 8 million jobs by the time the final numbers came in. We lifted 6.6 million people out of poverty, achieving the largest poverty reduction in modern U.S. history. Poverty rates for African Americans and Hispanic Americans reached record lows. Inequality declined dramatically, a complete reversal of the Obama years. My policies have benefited those who need it the most. The bottom 50% of households saw an astonishing 40% increase in net worth. Wages rose the fastest for blue-collar workers, African American, Hispanic American, Asian American. Unemployment all reached their lowest levels ever recorded. The last administration sold out American workers like never before, and they sold them to donors, special interests, and globalists. And if you take a look, we have probably plenty of them watching right now, and I understand where you're coming from, but it didn't work out too well with me. We succeeded by reversing those cruel and heartless betrayals. Instead of rewarding companies for outsourcing jobs, I implemented massive tax cuts and regulation cuts to keep jobs, opportunity, and wealth in America. The tax cuts and the regulation cuts were the biggest ever recorded in the history of our country. Instead of waging war on the American energy, we unleashed American energy to make the United States the #1 producer of oil and natural gas on earth. Instead of corrupt and horrendous trade deals written by lobbyists and special interests, again, some of you, I negotiated pro-American trade deals based on the principles of fairness and reciprocity. Very important. I ended the NAFTA nightmare and signed the brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement into law. I've taken the toughest ever action against China's chronic trade abuses that we all know so well. I immediately canceled the last administration's job-killing Trans-Pacific Partnership, and I renegotiated the South Korea deal, which was a disaster. China unleashed the virus onto the world, and only a Trump administration will hold them accountable. And if this administration, if I don't get elected in a little while, 20 days, China will own the United States. I can tell you that. When the China virus arrived, we launched the largest mobilization since World War II. To defeat the virus, I'm breaking through every obstacle, cutting every piece of red tape, and moving heaven and earth. The FDA has been fantastic. They're approving things in 1 week that would have taken 2 years. I'm not interested in making friends in the corrupt media, and it is corrupt. My sole focus is protecting American lives and making lives good for American people. We'll beat this virus and we'll eradicate this pestilence and all of the things that happen to our country, our lives, and our planet. Our aggressive and early action saved up to 2 million lives. If you look at the original numbers, it was projected at 2.2 million lives. We're at 210,000, and one is too many. It should have never happened, should have never been allowed to happen by China. Thanks to advances in treatment we pioneered in record time, we've reduced the fatality rate 85% since April, and that number has now gone even better. I'm also working to get emergency approval for the powerful antibody treatment I received that has shown extraordinary promise. As you know, a week ago, I wasn't feeling so hot, and I had a drug, Regeneron, that it made me feel very good very fast. I think it's, they call it therapeutic, but I don't think it was therapeutic. I think it was a cure. For me, it was something that was very good. Now, who knows? Maybe it would have happened anyway. Maybe I would have recovered beautifully anyway. All I know is once I had Regeneron, it worked out very well. Under Operation Warp Speed, we're on track to deliver at least 100 million doses of a vaccine before the end of the year, with hundreds of millions more to quickly follow. Our military will be delivering it. We have the best people on earth in our military, and we will deliver the drug. We will deliver the vaccine rapidly. Unfortunately, the media's constant efforts to stoke panic and hysteria and to probably change an election, that's what they really want to do, have undermined our public health efforts and put innocent lives in danger. They will not have success in changing the election. They tried that 4 years ago. That didn't work out too well. Americans should be trusted with the facts, the data, and the truth. For the young and healthy, the risk is exceedingly low. 99.98% of those under the age of 50 survive. The average age of those who succumb to the virus is 78. And usually that is a person who's 78 but has bad heart, diabetes, has other problems. That's why we're so focused on protecting elderly and higher risk Americans. Our groundbreaking therapies have significantly improved outcomes for elderly patients. But I will not rest and I will not relent until all American seniors are safe. That is my sacred obligation. I love our seniors. I love our country. At the same time, we must allow lower risk Americans to resume normal activity. The unscientific lockdowns pushed by left-wing politicians are needlessly destroying millions of lives. They decimate livelihoods and lead to suicide, drug overdose, depression, heart disease, delayed medical treatments, and reduced life expectancy. The cure cannot be worse than the problem itself. And that's what a lot of states run by Democrats have done to their people. And it's turning out very, very bad for them. These lives must be protected as well. The recent months, I have also acted swiftly to rescue the U.S. economy with an unprecedented $2.5 trillion in aid. We delivered over $160 million in relief payments for hardworking Americans through our Paycheck Protection Program that all of you are familiar with. My administration has approved over $650 billion in forgivable loans to more than 5.2 million small businesses. It's been a savior. This action has saved our supported 50 million jobs, and we think that number is going to be, when it's finally put down in actual fact, we think it's going to be even more than that. We increased unemployment benefits by $600. When Democrats failed to extend this assistance, I provided up to $400 a month in continued relief. I froze student loan payments, stopped evictions, suspended payroll taxes, and delivered $500 billion to save major U.S. employers, including airlines. As a result of these decisive actions, the U.S. has been both the smallest economic contraction it has seen. Think of that. With all that we've done and all the countries out there, some great and not so great, we've seen the smallest economic contraction and the fastest recovery of any major Western country. I hope people are taking note of that. And it's not even close. We've created a record 11.4 million American jobs since May. That's another record. Under the previous administration, it took 30 months to recover more than half the jobs lost in the crisis. We surpassed that milestone in fewer than 5 months. Just a few months ago, most experts were projecting unemployment well over 10% through